Hi guys, welcome back to the Fit Refresh. My name is Sarah Martinez. I'm a health coach and weight loss specialist. I help professional yo-yo dieters create a healthy and happier relationship with food and fitness. I do these live events every week just to give you a little bit of extra information to make your life a little bit better and easier. And this week is one of my favorites. We are going to talk about clean eating. Let's do it. All right, here's the time, you guys. Subscribe to my channel and, of course, like the video, especially if you found this entertaining, which you never know, and also if you found a lot of great information. It helps me understand what you want to see. Also, ask questions down below. Today might cause you to have a lot of questions, so feel free to ask away. Let's get right in it. What is clean eating? Essentially, a clean diet would consist of food you are eating that it's in its natural form still, right? So like you're never gonna go to the store and see a label on a potato, right? You're not gonna see a label on a banana because it is what it is. It's in its natural form as whatever fruit or vegetable or food item it is. So essentially, clean eating in a lot of ways kind of cuts out any kind of packaged food. Now, we do live in a very conscious and woke age, so we do have a lot of great companies that are coming out with awesome products that do come in packages but are very minimal on extra ingredients, and they're organic, and they're all these beautiful things, right? So this is something that is new to within this last decade, that companies are actually mass producing these types of foods. Mostly though, to eat a clean diet, it's stuff that you take from its original form and create it into something that's useful for you. So it's a lot of you creating stuff at home, making your own sauces, because sauces tend to be high processed and have a lot of really weird ingredients in them. It's important to know that when processing occurs on food items, typically stuff is done to it so that it will last longer. I mean, let's talk about cheese for a moment. Have you ever bought a bag of cheese at the store, brought it home, and then maybe didn't touch it, and then a month and a half later you're like, oh, and you look at it and you realize there's no mold on it. It is still fine. It still looks good, smells normal. Why is that? That's when you want to start to think about it. So processing allows foods to actually last longer, and also they tend to be packed with a lot more calories. So they're more calorie dense because of that processing. Before I jump into the items that you want to eat more of when you're clean eating, I just want to touch on one really important factor. If you think about all the diets that are out there on the market, keto, paleo, all the really popular ones that are kind of circulating, I get asked about constantly as a health coach, all of them preach the foundation of clean eating. So maybe one diet like keto, you're cutting out carbs, right? But they still want you to eat cleanly with all the other items. There's not a recommendation of, well, just have all the processed packaged cheese, meats, and all that you want, because those are the ones that cause you to have heart problems and medical problems. So the basis of it is always about choosing clean foods to fill the food that you are eating, right? And then you look at something like intermittent fasting or carb cycling, which are typically more like scheduling of eating. Even in those diets, when you do eat, they're encouraging you to eat no saturated fat, more veggies, more lean meats, all of these things that are in this clean eating realm. So what I really want to help you know is, what are the clean eating items that I can eat? What are things I should stay away from, or at least get a red flag for? And then are there some packaged stuff that are okay, which we can kind of talk over a little bit today. Let's talk about the stuff that they encourage you to eat on a clean eating diet. Veggies, right? So anything that doesn't have a label on it, well, guess what? All your veggies and fruits, they don't need labels. They are what they are. There's no trick there. So, eating lots of vegetables. So really going through those vegetable aisles and starting to learn what's there, what can I eat, what should I eat. If you fill your plate with a lot of veggies, you're going to naturally eat less calories. So think of it that way. You can eat a lot more veggies for the same calorie points as candy, right? So think about filling up your plate with veggies. Fruits, same thing. They are what they are. No tricks there. Don't need a label on your fruits. When we're talking about lean meats, now when we're talking about clean eating and meats, this line is just, it kind of makes you have to think about where you want your line to be. If you were a true clean eating eater, you would buy meat where the animal that was used to make that meat was fed organic food, there wasn't any pesticides or GMOs used to feed that animal, because what that animal ate made the meat what it is. Not starting to click a little bit there? So if you're eating a clean diet, eating the cleanest meat possible is your best bet. So that means beef. That means all of the meats. You want to get the cleanest meat possible. Now, if you're really going like a little step farther and you're like, look, Sarah, I'm not going to go to Joe's farm and buy that meat from that or get it shipped in from here. I'm going to go to the store. Then great. Then what you want to focus on is meat that is certified organic. So you're going to spend just a little bit extra money. Certified organic, or you're going to find just your leanest meat. So your chicken, your turkey, fish. These items are going to help at least push you in the right direction of staying with that clean eating aspect. And typically, if they don't have as much fat on them, they will not have absorbed the same kind of negative nutrients and stuff that were put into it during its process, right? So staying towards those clean, lean meats. Let's talk about whole grains. Look, on a clean eating diet, you don't have to cut carbs. If you're eating clean, fiber-rich carbohydrates, you don't really have to worry too much about cutting them out or making sure you don't have any of them, because they're going to be carbohydrates that are actually going to help you feel fuller. They're going to give you more nutrients. So one way to look at this when we're talking about whole grains, so if you look at your white bread, white rice, white pasta, those are processed. So if we're talking about clean eating, cutting out processed foods, you got to cut those out. Now we talk about our brown rice, our sweet potato, hummus, and chickpeas. All of these things are, again, in their natural form, especially if you buy them that way, because you can buy canned stuff. So you got to be careful, and that kind of goes into our next section. But there are carbs that you can have that are very good for you. They're good for the fiber in them, will help you feel full, help to slow down digestion. And all of that is good stuff. And then the last one, of course, healthy fats. So this is your avocado oil. These are your avocados. I love avocados on the brain. Coconuts. All of these different fats that are there to help create your body in a much more balanced hormonally and balanced way in general. So if you look at the title here, I put eat less or none. Ideally, you'd like to cut out these things altogether, right? But let's just be real for a moment, okay? Like, life is life. Like, you're out on the road on a road trip and you stop off, you got to get some food. You're going to buy a packaged thing probably, because they're not going to be having fresh, loaves of bread or whatever that they just got off the press or whatever at your local gas station. Okay. So let's be honest, things are going to happen and you're going to eat unclean at some point in your life. But if you can avoid to eat these things most of the time, you are in a good place. So first and foremost for clean eating, no processed foods. That is going to be a kicker. That is what most people have trouble with, because so many things are processed. Even the things that we think are healthy still can be processed. All right, so number one on that list, sugar. Don't be mad. Don't be mad. Okay, sugar is on this list. Sugar is a processed item. Now, if you have your sweetness in its natural fruit form, or even in honey or maple syrup, these are natural sweetened items. Or maybe you're chewing it off the sugar cane itself, I don't know, in its natural form. But if you're thinking about eating clean, cutting out sugar is going to be the first number one main thing to do. Also, just in general, sugar it's not a necessary nutrient for your body. So if you're keeping a clean diet, your body will be cleaner without sugar in its life. All right. Natural sugars in your fruit, in your food, totally okay. Do not cut those out. Okay. Do not cut out a banana so that you can eat a cookie. Right. So stay with the natural, clean items for your sweet tooth needs. Okay, don't be mad again. Dairy. Now listen, next week, or my next episode, which you can stay tuned for, I'm going to be talking about dairy, but I'm going to touch on it right now. Most dairy you get at your grocery aisle in your store, I don't care what store you go to, is processed. Why? They want it to last longer. It goes through that processing so that they can finish making it, get it to packaging, get it to the stores, and then you can have it on your table. If you want cheese that hasn't gone through all that processing, you're going to have to go seek it out, right? Go to a store that specializes in cheeses, maybe go to the farm that made the cheese. Finding that those clean cheeses that don't have the added coloring, they don't have added chemicals to keep it lasting longer. It's not as readily available at your local store. If you want to try to find it at your local store, maybe go check out like the artisan aisle where it has like the meats and stuff like that. Usually they might have some sort of cheeses that haven't been untouched. But here's what you need to do in any of these situations. You've got to read the label. You flip that baby around and you read the label. And if there is a word you don't understand, you flip it back around and you put it back. Or you Google it and you start to understand it better. Another one is gluten. All right, so gluten is a protein found on grain, and a lot of people are actually allergic to gluten, which is a problem. So they have to actually buy gluten-free things because of that. But gluten in general is highly processed when you have it in the breads you're eating, highly processed in that realm. So you want to try to stay away from gluten altogether. If you're staying away from packaged foods, you're staying away from bread then, because bread is always packaged, right? So typically you'll kind of get yourself away from gluten. So if you're cutting out breads and pastas and all that, you're going to stay away from gluten. So you should be pretty good. And then of course, last, like I've said this entire time, processed foods. You can always pretty much identify a processed food because there's going to be a description of what's in it. Right? If something's in its natural form, no one's gonna have to explain it, right? So if there's a label or there's a description, most likely it has been in some way made, processed in some way, shape, or form. So just keep that in your mind. Of course, the rule does not apply to all things. So of course there could be situations, but mostly if you think that way, you'll stay away from mostly processed foods altogether. So what packaged food is okay to eat? My first thought of telling you is just assume none of it. If you kind of live life thinking like, okay, I can't have any packaged food, I need to make it all fresh, then you're going to be on the road to eating clean 100%. Realistically, though, we're all busy, right? Like, tell me I have to make everything fresh. It sounds hard. It is a good habit to get into, and that is something to be learned, and that is the hardest part of eating clean, is just getting yourself into the habit of preparing it and getting it. We are a society that enjoys the convenience of packaged food. However, it's also the thing that is killing us. So we need to start to move away and start to accept some of those clean eating ideas. Now, again, my first thought, don't eat packaged food, right? Second thought is, well, it's going to happen from time to time. So what do you do in that situation? This is what you need to do. Read your labels. I'm linking a video here that I did a while back about how to read labels. I have a free PDF that I just released last week, and the link in my bio here to how to read labels. Get more educated on what you're reading, right? When you look at the ingredients, it's going to have a list of ingredients, right? The top few names on that are what is mostly in the foods you're eating. Now, two things to think about when you read your labels, when you're trying to eat clean. How many ingredients are on the list? You want it to be the minimal amount of ingredients possible, right? That's number one. Number two, can I pronounce and do I know what all of these ingredients are? Those are the two main things. And if you answer no, or the answer is no to one of those two questions, whatever that item is, I know you love it and I'm really sorry, but you should put it back. All right, so if you, for example, Larabar, one of my favorite little snacks is a Larabar. And the three ingredients of the one that I get the peanut butter cookie, I'm telling you a lot about my life, Larabar. And then there's only three ingredients in that. There's dates, there's peanuts, and there's salt. That's it. All right, three ingredients. Now, this is a packaged item. It's in a wrapper. It has, all the ingredients and, of course, the calorie count and all that. However, there's only three ingredients. And there's no weird, and we also added some of this. So I know that is a clean item. And it's something that it's very often a snack for me. And it's actually often a snack that I allow my son to have as well, because I'm trying to help him learn about clean eating as well, even as a toddler. He loves it. One thing I like to talk about is the 80-20 rule. So if you're like, Sarah, I'm not a dieter, I'm not going to even do that, then your goal should be that most of the time you're eating a clean diet. That's the goal most of the time. And you can look at it as a week-long event. So 7 days a week, 80% of my week is clean and 20% isn't. Or you think of it on a day-to-day basis, like my day-to-day, like what did I have? Was it clean all the way through? And then at dinner time, did I have a little 20% love, Or you can think of it meal by meal. 20% of my plate should be healthy, clean food. And then 80% of my plate should be healthy, clean food. And then that other 20% should be that fun food that doesn't, make your life miserable. If you follow pretty much an 80-20 type of lifestyle, you're going to find yourself at a nice, happy, healthy place. You'll still be getting the food that you need to be happy and be balanced and strong, but you're also going to have the fun food that makes you happy when you have it, right? And it will give you more of a satisfaction when you actually do get to enjoy something, rather than having it be something that you just enjoy all the time and you're unhappy while you're doing it. All of that being said, you guys, the truth behind all of it is just self-love. Knowing that whether you're watching this video, today when I released it, or whether you're watching it 10 years from now, you're not alone. All right. Everybody is struggling to try to find their happy place and balance. Some people seem like they have it more together, but they're still challenged by things that come at them and ideas and how to make it better. So everybody's in this boat together. As a society, we need to shift. This is a mindset shift that the entire society needs to have. We need to start pulling away and not making processed foods cheaper and easier to get for people, and start allowing us to get these clean, healthy foods more often, and also understand that they do taste good. You can make them good. It is a satisfying way to eat. And once we do that, we might get ourselves into a place where we can all live pretty balanced, healthy lives all together. Luckily, I have programs put in place to help guide people along this way of clean eating. So definitely check out my website. It's popping up down here in just a second. And, and follow me, because I'm here to try to help guide clean eating, help guide a happy, balanced life. And if you find it, you can really find yourself in a good place, a happy place, which is always the goal, right? It's to fit in the jeans. It's to fit in the jeans, but it's also to be happy while you're in the jeans. I'll see you next week.